One of the reasons I love working with Crystal is that she inspires me. She points things out or phrases things in a way that makes me think, and something that she said yesterday is something that I was really excited about for those of you who are premium members and watch our reactions. It's something I just could not get out of my head afterwards. Her monologue was titled Cuban 2024, and it pointed out all of these obvious things. Is another billionaire really what we need right now? No, probably not. Will Mark Cuban really be our savior from a policy perspective? No. But here's what she wrote, quote, "Our politics are so stuck and hopeless between two parties, owned by corporations and costumed on one side in fake identity nonsense, on the other side addled in conspiracy nonsense. I'm for literally anything that would help to break that system apart." That's the part that I'm obsessed with right now. It's something I think is increasingly true. Right now, we are so condemned on both sides of political leadership, it seems nearly impossible to imagine any sort of real democratic consensus to be forged from our options. Take a look at that poll that Crystal cited. It sums everything up right now. On the question of whether Americans want Donald Trump to run again in 2024, 27% say yes, 72% say no. On the question of Joe Biden running for office, it's nearly identical. 28% say yes, 70% say no. And yet, those are our two most likely nominees for president. Let's just say they don't run, though. On the Democratic side, that means Kamala Harris is the presumptive nominee, or Pete Buttigieg, Kamala, the least popular vice president in modern American history. More so than the guy who couldn't spell frickin' potato. On the Republican side, I don't know who it would be, but whomever it would be somebody who had to endorse Trump's Stop the Steal nonsense. In both cases, the problem is this: they would not be capable of actually uniting Americans. While I believe at its core America's problems can only be solved by policy, the problem that we have right now is the inability to even arrive at correct policy outcomes. We have a political incumbency that shrouds their corporate-friendly policy in the veil of the culture war. Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema have only upside to gain from opposing Joe Biden, no matter the issue, because just being opposed itself to the most unpopular president in a long time is popular. Or, when Trump was in power, Democrats could justify and do literally anything because they convinced their base they were opposing fascism. In this reality, we have only one option: throw out the entire existing class of politician and do something crazy. This was the rationale of Trump 2016. Now look, it didn't work out as planned, but it was a gateway to our future. Our current class of politicians are obsessed with becoming celebrities with large Twitter followings who do podcasts instead of governing. To that, I say, okay, fine, screw it. If this is the way it's going to be, let's get some real celebrities who are both likable, but also have the capacity, at least, to unite us, at least in rhetoric alone, and discard the existing political class to the dustbin of history. There is a reason that during Trump's time in office, the only person he was truly afraid of running as a Democrat was Oprah Winfrey. That's also why I listened with great interest to a recent conversation Joe Rogan had with Jim Gaffigan, where he described the state of politics and he mentioned who he thinks would win. He said it was Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and I agree. I remember many of you thought that I was cringe months ago when I said that The Rock should run for president, but this is why. I see a world where basic popularity and rhetoric could solve a lot of our problems. Take Black Lives Matter. Imagine The Rock saying something like this: yeah, Black Lives Matter. Also, we need cops. Boom. Culture war literally solved. You need somebody so famous, so ubiquitous and above the fray that they are capable of connecting with people on a visceral level. It's very difficult. And don't get me wrong, from a policy perspective, it may not work out. The Rock has recently been cringe posting with Jeff Bezos. You could say this about the guy, though. He's just as positive in a way that we don't even recognize anymore in our politics. He loves America. He's known by almost every parent in this country because of Moana and other children's movies. He's also one of the most followed people on all of Instagram. Now you might say, well, what is he gonna do? On that, I would tell you this: what are any of these people gonna do? The ultimate state of politics right now is that we are having existential fights to get politicians to do the most basic stuff. Take Glenn Youngkin, for example. It was a Herculean effort just to get him into the office so that he could push back against unscientific efforts to force children to wear masks in schools. That is all politics are going to be about for 3 years. Masks on planes or not, masks in schools or not, let people live, impose a biomedical police state on them. Under those types of politics, the stakes are both very high and also not at all. Perhaps I am too much of a nihilist. I think we need to blow up the entire political system. And for the FBI agents monitoring this, no, I don't mean literally. From the ashes, rise the phoenix. It is not something that happens quickly. It's something that takes years to shake out. Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders' campaigns in 2016, it opened the door to allow people like Crystal and I into the semi-mainstream, at least have the ability to engage on the same argumentative plane as the establishment. Now, something like that just didn't exist before. But that was not enough for a variety of reasons. The next step is having somebody who becomes president, who literally has no connections to the existing infrastructure and blows apart the very idea of what is possible. When reading history, a great paradigm shift only comes once in a generation. Sometimes it takes a great war or a global economic depression. We've already had that once in a century event. And yet our change still has not come. People are waiting. They are literally more fed up than they have ever been. They are crying out for something else. I believe that something else could be the people's champ. It's a great campaign phrase, and I'll quote a man who changed the entire way that I once thought about politics. What the hell do we have to lose?
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it, you get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.